Ruben Amorim signing or set to sign Diomande in the January transfer window. Will this happen though? Some reports this morning suggesting that he is the top target. We will be discussing that on this morning's show. Malacia back from injury, first professional game last night, although Martinez and Sekou Kone have picked up injury blows. These are some of the topics we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we get into that, please do me a small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's try and get to 40,000 by the end of November. Go and do it right now. Let's do that. Okay, let's start off the show with some positivity then, shall we? Because we can confirm that Tyrell Malacia is back from injury. He played 45 minutes last night for the under-21s in, I think it was a League Cup match against Huddersfield. Man United ended up losing 4-1, which is a bit disappointing. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're playing a championship side with our under-21 side. So it's like, you know, it would have been, I think, a bit of a shock result if Man United had beaten them. But Malacia played 45 minutes. He played the whole of the first half. I watched a couple of highlights and he looked like he was pretty much back to where he was before. Obviously, he hadn't played a professional game of football for like nearly 2 years before that. I think it was January or March 2023. So yeah, about 18, 19 months since he last played a professional football match. So I'm really happy that he's back. Is he good enough for Manchester United? Is he good enough for this left wing back role that Ruben Amorim needs? I don't think so personally, but you know, at the end of the day, we're all human. Nobody wants to see a player be injured for that amount of time. And it's good to see him back. Whether or not he has a future at Manchester United, I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I would probably say no, but at least he's back now. At least maybe, you know, if Ruben Amorim decides he's not going to work, then at least we can try and sell him and get some money back, because, you know, him being injured is not good for anybody. It's not good for the player. It's not good for the club. You know, we're still... sorry, everyone. You know, at the end of the day, when a player's still injured, you're paying their wages, you're having to feed them, you're having to cover all the costs of all of their rehabilitation. Like, it's just burning money in your pocket. So I'm happy he's back. Yeah, but we'll wait and see whether he actually kind of progresses into the first team. I don't think he will personally, but you never know. Maybe he'll get some game time this season because of obviously Luke Shaw being injured. But yeah, obviously we'll keep you updated on that one. But Malacia is back. Whether or not he'll be on the bench for the Ipswich Town game, that's a possibility. Obviously, I'll keep you updated on that as and when I get more news. But moving on from that, in the same game, unfortunately, Sekou Kone, the young central defensive midfielder who we signed in the summer, did pick up an injury and left the stadium on crutches. So that's a little bit disappointing, to be honest, because he is somebody that I know a lot of the fans or Man United fans are excited to see. A player that a lot of people seem to think would break through into the first team this year because of our lack of central defensive midfielders. But obviously this injury setback's probably not going to do him any favours, is it really? So I wish him a speedy recovery. Sekou Kone, I'm not sure what the injury is at this stage, but there's images circulating of him leaving the stadium last night on crutches. I think he had to come off in the first half because of this injury. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, but obviously, I'll keep you updated on that one as and when we get more information. Jumping over to something a bit more positive, it is Lennys Birthday birthday today. So happy birthday to Lennys Birthday. He is turning 19 years of age today. He's still so young. 19. That's absolutely mad. Another player who obviously has had a bit of a horrible injury run this season, having become injured in the pre-season. But apparently he is going to be back after the international break. Whether or not he'll start against Ipswich Town is a whole nother conversation, but apparently he is kind of back from injury, working very, very hard on his rehabilitation. He's back on the grass. So yeah, hopefully we get to see him after the international break. But happy birthday to Lennys. You're 19 years of age today. Let's have a look at what people are saying in the chat this morning. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour, go and hit the like button. Let's try and get to 500 likes. That would be really, really appreciated if you could do that now. Let's see what else is going on. Okay, let's move on from that. Let's move on over to Lisandro Martinez, because we do have more injury news, and unfortunately it's not good news. Lisandro Martinez has reportedly dropped out of the Argentinian national team because of an injury. Now, again, we're not at this stage 100% clear on what this injury is. And the weird thing about this story is there was pictures of Lisandro Martinez, Garnacho, and I think it was Emilio Martinez, the goalkeeper from Aston Villa, travelling together to Argentina. And then suddenly he must have gone to Argentina, been assessed by the Argentinian national team, and they've decided that he's injured and sent him back. So, I mean, that's not ideal for him, is it? To fly halfway across the world, report for international duty, and then be told that he's injured and that he has to go back. So, I'm not sure what's happened here. Quite strange, but I guess the national team's physios and doctors must have thought it's not worth risking him or something like that, and said the best option for you is to go back to Manchester, rest, rehabilitate, and hopefully he'll be back in time for the Ipswich Town game. But I will keep you updated on that as soon as we get more news on it. It's a little bit strange though, the fact that he went all the way to South America, then to be told that he's injured and then to fly back. But yeah, I guess it does happen, doesn't it? Let's move on from that, though, and let's move on to some transfer-related stories, because the news this morning is that apparently Amorim wants to sign the Sporting Lisbon centre-back Diomande. I think this guy's absolutely quality. He was one of the names we were linked to in the summer. Obviously, we ended up with Lennys Birthday, which I thought was probably the right decision at that time. Diomande is only 20 years of age. He's still very, very young. Obviously, Ivory Coast international, available for somewhere around 40 million euros. He's not going to be cheap because obviously he's been absolutely phenomenal for Sporting Lisbon, already in the national team for Ivory Coast. Right-footed centre-back. For me, he would be a great replacement for either Maguire, Lindelof or Johnny Evans, who obviously operate on that right side of the centre-back too. And I think, now that we're moving over to a back three, the thought of having Diomande, Lennys Birthday, Martinez and De Ligt sounds great, but I still think we'd need another one or two centre-backs on top of that, because obviously if you're playing three centre-backs every week, you really need three centre-backs in backup, don't you? Because if you get an injury, you need someone to replace, obviously, one of those three centre-backs. So I personally think what Man United will end up doing is, obviously, Lindelof and Evans' contracts expire in the summer, and Maguire's contract expires in the summer, but there is an option to extend it by 1 year. I personally think they'll give Maguire a 1 year extension. So that will be until 2026, I think. Yeah, till 2026. And then I think they'll try and sign two centre-backs, Diomande being one of them, and then the other one remains to be seen. Maybe they go back in for Branthwaite. Maybe they go in for someone like Hanko. We'll wait and see what happens. But I think, if they were to let Maguire, Johnny Evans and Lindelof go all at the same time for free, because it will be free agents because their contracts will be up, that means we'll have to buy three new centre-backs. I mean, even Diomande at 40 million, if you were to buy three Diamandes, that's 120 million pounds or euros on centre-backs, which is a hell of a lot of money. And if we don't qualify for the Champions League, our total budget for next summer might only be about 150 million. It might even be less. So if we were to have to buy three centre-backs, that could be our whole summer budget gone. So I think the most logical option would be to give Maguire one more season, because we already have this this contract in place with him where we can extend it by 1 year, and then buy another centre-back the year after. That will probably make the most sense, because obviously we're going to need to buy wing-backs. We're going to need to buy probably some more attacking players to replace Sancho, Pellistri and Greenwood, who all left last summer. So yeah, we'll wait and see how it all kind of progresses. But I think at the moment, Diomande to Manchester United is definitely one to keep an eye on. He does have a release clause of £80 million. I do think that's a little bit too much, to be honest with you. I personally think 80 million is a little bit much, but, we'll wait and see whether that kind of materialises. But I'd be interested to get you guys' opinions. What I want you to tell me is, what's your kind of dream signings under Ruben Amorim? Like, what players are you looking at? What players do you think we should go for? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Go and get in the comment section and let me know, like, what players you think Manchester United should sign in the summer or in January or whatever. Let me know, because obviously it's going to be a very different style of setup, isn't it, versus what it was under Ten Hag, obviously with this 3-4-3. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'd be really interested to see, like, maybe give me 3 or 4 players that you think Man United should be looking at. What positions, like et cetera, et cetera. I'll do mine really quickly. So I think Diomande would be a great signing. I would personally go with centre-backs, Diomande. I would also go with Hanko. He was a player we were linked to last summer. Anybody who's unaware who he is, David Hanko, he currently plays for Feyenoord. He is 26 years of age, so he's a little bit older, but he's a bit more experienced than Diomande. He can play he's left-footed, so he could play as the left-sided centre-back of the 3, which would be great. Available for somewhere around 20 to 30 million euros. He's a little bit cheaper. He nearly came to United last summer, and he nearly came to Atletico Madrid, but ended up staying at Feyenoord. So I would go for personally him and Diomande. I think you could probably get Diomande for around 40, 50 million euros, and you could probably get David Hanko for probably 30 million euros. So that would be an 80 million euros combined spend. I'd go for those 2. I would probably look to try and sign a wing back, because I do think that in this Ruben Amorim style team, you do need specialist wing backs. So I would probably try and get Frimpong if that was an option. I think, if I'm not mistaken, his contract might expire next summer. Oh no, it's in 2028. I'm sure he had a release clause or something, didn't he? Or is that release clause gone now? Let's have a little look. I'm sure there was a release clause. Oh, right, so there was one in the summer, but it expired. Yeah, I think... Yeah, I think there was a release clause, wasn't it? But it seems to have, it expired in the summer. So Jeremy Frimpong could be quite expensive. But somebody like a Frimpong, somebody who is a specialist right wing back, would be absolutely perfect for Manchester United. I think as well, we're definitely going to need another attacking player, another striker. So yeah, in relation to a striker's a really difficult one, I think. Really difficult. Because... I mean, the obvious option is Guy Carrez, isn't it, from Sporting Lisbon? He would be the obvious option. But, I mean, what's he going to cost you? 60, 70 million? And then we are kind of following the same path as Ten Hag here, where we're buying ex-players that he's worked with. Diomande, ex-Sporting player. Guy Carrez, ex-Sporting player. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are kind of going down that path of just buying players that he's worked with, which maybe it works, But obviously with Ten Hag, it didn't really work. We signed... pretty much an Ajax past and present, and it didn't work. So I don't know. I feel like Ineos will probably be a little bit hesitant to do that. But welcome to all the new people who have joined today. I can see quite a few new people in the chat today. I hope you're all doing well. If this is your first time watching, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. Go and subscribe now. I'm live every single day with all of the latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. So make sure you go and do that. And if you are a regular, make sure you like the video as well. We're trying to get to 500 likes on this video. So make sure you go and do that right now. Let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. Fred says it would be more advantageous if Ruben Amorim could get his squad accepting a new system and tactics rather than buying new players. Yeah, I think that's sensible. I think that's probably what, Ineos have said to him, is that they feel they have a good squad. And it's all about the manager getting the best out of the players. So, yeah. What else we got? Ed Mielison says, I would go for Diomande, Milos Kerkez, Quenda, and Guy Carrez. 4 players that I would go for in the summer. Thank you very much for that. So that's 3 Sporting players, then obviously the left-back from Bournemouth. Al says we should just sign the whole Sporting team. Oh, God. Archer says, do you know anything about Xery leaving? Yeah, there is a story this morning saying that apparently Ruben Amorim and Xery are going to have crunch talks because Xery might end up leaving in the January transfer window. I actually think Xery would work quite well. I think Xery would work quite well under Ruben Amorim, but the news this morning is that apparently Juventus are trying to sign Joshua Xery. The story says that Juventus want to sign Joshua Xery this January. It says Thiago Motta, who worked with the Dutchman at Bologna, wants him to compete with Vlahovic. This is coming out from multiple reliable Italian outlets this morning, saying that apparently Juventus are going to try and sign him. Again, it says here, Joshua Xery is attracting interest from clubs in Italy after struggling to settle into life in the Premier League. And then another story says Manchester United are now considering offloading Joshua Xerxes in January, with clubs in Serie A monitoring the situation closely. I don't know about this. Like, unless, I don't know. I personally don't think that Joshua Xerxes is going to work at Manchester United. I'm going to be honest. I don't really understand what he's good at. Well, I do understand what he's good at. That's unfair. He's good at bringing people into the game. He's more, for me, like a number 10. But we need a striker. We don't need a number 10. We've got Bruno. We've got Mason Mount. We've got Ahmad who can play there. We've got Ericsson who can play there. We've got Kobe Mainoo who can play as a number 10, I think. We've got probably other players I've forgotten about. You know, we've literally got Bruno, Mason Mount, all of these people who can operate as a number 10, right? And I just don't really see Joshua Xerxes competing with any of those people. I would rather Mason Mount gets game time than Joshua Xerxes, because, like, Mason Mount hasn't had a chance yet, really. You know, I know Joshua Xerxes hasn't yet either, really. But do you know what I mean? Like, we need to try and get the best out of Mason Mount. We spent like, what, 60 million pounds on him, whereas Xerxes was a relatively cheap signing in the grand scheme of things. I think he was about 35 million. He was kind of half the price of Mason Mount and on a quarter of the wages of Mason Mount. Mason Mount earns 250,000 a week at Manchester United, you know? Like, Ruben Amorim has to get the best out of Mason Mount. Whereas you look at Joshua Xerxes, he's only on about 50k a week at Manchester United, and his transfer fee was quite small. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd loan him out. I think that's kind of pointless. I think, you know, if Juventus came in and offered us more than what we paid for him, and he said he wanted to leave, then maybe you do that. But obviously only if we can then go and buy another striker. If you went and bought someone like a Gyökeres, or I know Jonathan David's been mentioned because he's available in January, or someone like that. So, yeah, I want Joshua Xerxes to succeed, but I'm just really struggling to see how he's going to fit into this team. But I'd be interested to get you guys' opinions on this. Like, will Joshua Xerxes become a success at Manchester United? Let's do a little poll. Let's do this. Will Joshua Xerxes become a success at United? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section, because it's quite an interesting one to discuss. I personally don't think he will, to be honest. I just don't see how. Yeah, I just don't really get it. Obviously, I want him to be a success. I want nothing more. I want nothing more than Joshua Xerxes to come good. But I just don't see it. I don't know. But I mean, this is where the managers get paid the big money. If Ruben Amorim comes in and turns Joshua Xerxes into an absolute beast, then, you know, that he'll be worth every penny that we pay him in his wages. But yeah, Justin says the problem is Justin says the problem is he is a 9.5. You know what? Those are Joshua Xerxes' actual words. He said that he's a 9.5. You know? 9.5. He's somewhere between the two. I think the thing for me is, right, I can understand and see what Joshua Xerxes is good at. I'm not debating that. I think he is a good footballer. But what Manchester United need is a number 9. That's what we should have bought. And I think that's what Manchester United thought they were buying. That's what I thought we were buying, you know, from watching bits of him and from watching his compilations and stuff. I thought he was a number 9, right? But really, we're buying somebody who likes to be deeper, somebody who likes to play others into the game and stuff, somebody more like a kind of Firmino type player, you know? So I think it's not the case of whether Joshua Xerxes is a good footballer. I think he is a good footballer. And I think in a certain system, he would work quite well, right? But what I'm saying is Manchester United need an out-and-out goal scorer who can compete with Rasmus Højlund, because let's be honest, Rasmus Højlund isn't really setting the world alight either, is he? He's relatively slow in his development. You know, he's not banging the goals in for fun. And we need someone who's banging the goals in for fun. So that's more what I'm saying. And I think, as I said, the problem that we have is, obviously, we've got lots of players who play in that number 10 position. And remember that Ruben Amorim plays a 3-4-3, and the 3 is a striker and then kind of 2 more number 10s. But we're going to have to fit in Garnacho, we're going to have to fit in Rashford, we're going to have to fit in, you know? So we're effectively losing. Think about it like this, right? It'll be 3-4-3. So you'll have 3 centre-backs, you'll have a left wing-back and a right wing-back. It'll probably be Mazraoui on the right and probably Dalot on the left to begin with. Your 2 midfielders will be Casemiro and Ericsson. So you've kind of already, Casemiro and Ugarte. You've kind of already picked the team already, right? It will probably be, defence will probably be De Ligt, Martinez and Johnny Evans, I reckon, for the first game. or Lindelof. The midfield four will probably be Dalot, Ugarte, Casemiro, and Mazraoui. And then the front three, right? Obviously, we'll have Rasmus Højlund as the striker. Bruno will be one of the others. And then you've got Rashford, Ahmad, Garnacho, Xerxes. All four of those players will be competing for one position. That's the point I'm kind of making here. Whereas at the moment, there isn't really anybody competing with Rasmus Højlund for that number 9 position. Like, there just isn't. Ant says, to be fair to Højlund, he isn't getting the service. Yeah, that's fair. That's very, very fair. He isn't getting the service at all. So, yeah. But I think there has been a few times where Højlund has had chances and he hasn't taken it. But I guess, if you look at Erling Haaland's stats, he gets like 5 or 6 chances a game and he'll score 1 or 2 goals. Whereas Haaland will be lucky to get 1 chance a game. So, it's not really comparable, is it? What else have we got? Breaking news says, apparently Erik ten Hag didn't even want to sign Xerxes. Yeah, I did see that. Apparently Xerxes turned up to to Carrington, like a stone overweight. And that was why he didn't play at the beginning of the season. And I remember at the beginning of the season, the Man United fan base were criticising Erik ten Hag so much for the inability to pick Xerxes. They were like, he doesn't know what he's doing and all the rest of it. But now the truth comes out that he turned up unfit and a stone overweight, and that was why he didn't play. So, yeah. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for watching the show today. If this is your first time watching, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like the video as well. Let's try and get to the 500 likes. Have a great day, everybody. I'll speak to you all later. Bye for now.